Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. Hey, just so you guys know before I get started on the video, I appreciate those of you that listen to these regularly. I know there's not a lot of people because the reach is heavily limited on YouTube, and with Facebook being limited right now, I'm not getting as many external views to the videos, but I know there is a hardcore group of you that do listen on a regular, and I really appreciate you guys. Look, these morning talks are just, it's kind of like just an impromptu podcast. There's not much for you to watch on it. It's just me in the dark here driving to work, and you hear the sound of the car in the background, and occasionally rain, and that's pretty much it. But you guys are just focusing in on what we're talking about. And, that takes a lot. Not a lot of people have that kind of attention span nowadays. And I know, like me personally, I don't really watch YouTube videos. Even the ones I listen to for NDEs and and other like esoteric teachings and a wide range of stuff. I usually listen to it as a podcast, just listening to it. I don't really watch them. So, anyways, I know nowadays everybody's got to have the flashy, shining lights and special, person doing, acting and doing, trying to entertain. This is more or less for the information. So I think the real ones, are here for the information. But I am going to start doing lives on Facebook. It's something new I want to start trying out as a way to kind of build on the Facebook side with videos and stuff, because they don't really let you do like full-length videos on Facebook unless you do it through a live. They don't let you, they limit how many minutes you can upload on videos. So they just want everybody producing the shorts or the reels, right? So that people just sit there constantly scrolling through 2-minute long reels. They don't want somebody, hunkered down listening to an hour-long video. So they used to. Facebook used to let you. I used to be able to upload any video to Facebook, but that's just the way it is now. They want everybody to have short attention spans. They don't want anybody to be deep thinkers, to allow their brain to play through or to listen to long-form videos, where it forces your brain to concentrate on specific subjects for an extended time. They just want people getting those quick dopamine hits from cat videos and, pointless stuff, right? All the fake, I caught my husband cheating videos and all this other stupid stuff they constantly hammer you with. And in fact, folks, real quick before we get started, does that irritate you guys? Because it irritates me, man. Like, they're always pushing propaganda on Facebook, on the reels. And I don't do TikTok, so I'm sure it's just as bad on TikTok. It's just like always BS, right? It's always trying to cause division. It's always, oh, my wife's cheating on me, my husband's cheating on me. How do you know if your husband's a narcissist? How do you know if your wife's a narcissist? All this constant stuff. And some people say, well, that's the algorithms, showing you, like, based on your algorithms, which is funny. I don't know. Maybe I'm a cheating narcissist. I mean, it's so stupid, though. They're trying to, like, always program the public. They're trying to put fear and division in everybody, because you start watching 4 or 5 of those videos, and somebody with a weaker mind may start wondering, oh my God, my wife does a lot of that stuff. Is she cheating on me? Is she a narcissist? Is it, look, folks, the whole narcissist thing is BS. I've already done videos on this. And I know people like push back on it hard because a lot of people like to play the victim, right? Oh, I'm an empath. I have no narcissistic traits in me. I'm a pure empath. Like, everybody else is a narcissist. I'm an empath. It's such BS, folks. Look, all human beings have the capacity for empathy and for narcissism. Unless you're a sociopath, there's very small percentage of our population that are sociopaths or psychopaths that do not have the capacity for empathy. However, almost, 99% of people have the capacity for either and portray either traits on a day-to-day basis, okay? A lot of times it depends on people's mood swings and, what kind of day they're having. I mean, look, you're having a great day. All of a sudden you get a big bonus from work and you paid off some bills and you're getting a little breathing room, and man, all of a sudden pressure's let off you and you're in a great mood. All of a sudden you're going to the gas station, in the store, and you're really friendly to everybody. You're like, your mood's heightened, you're in a higher, resonating at a higher frequency at that point. So you're opening doors for people, you're smiling. However, you do find out your wife's cheating on you, and you're having and your boss just laid into you at work and threatened to fire you. Now you're going to the store and you're going around public. Now you're in a bad mood and you're acting like a jerk, and you're showing a lot more narcissistic traits to people. You're just ignoring other people. You're walking in front of them. You're cutting people off. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, folks? Like, a lot of that's based on your emotions and the circumstances of the time. So, if somebody's seen you that day, you're cutting them off in traffic, then you run into them in the store later on and they cut in front of you in a line and their face is all pissed off and they're all, well, you don't really know what they just went through and that they're just caught up in their emotions, and you're like, look at that narcissistic son of a bitch. Right? So I don't know. I'm just saying, folks. I honestly think people that always claim they're an empath and they use that as like a shield of protection, like, I could do no wrong, I'm an empath, I'm always an empath, everybody, you're a narcissist. People that do that, a spouse or a coworker or whatever, they're actually a hardcore narcissist, because the fact that they're using empathy as some kind of shield, like they can do no wrong, like, you can't blame me for anything, I'm an empath. It's such BS, folks, okay? Even some of the most hardened people can show empathy, can break down. They're, maybe they just have really strong walls, which is kind of funny, just to kind of stand up for men for a second, because I am a man and I see what society does to us sometimes. We're always told, you got to be strong, you got to be the hero, the fighter, the do this and that, you can't show weakness. But then women will be like, oh, he never shows any kind of emotions, he's always so hard-headed, he's always, so then the guy does break down, cries to his spouse, and I'm not saying this is every spouse, folks, but this does happen. He does finally break down and shows emotions, and then the woman treats him like shit, like, look at this wimp, look at, then she starts judging him. Then the next argument's like, oh, remember the other day when you broke down and you know what I mean, folks? That's just, so look, everybody, men, women, 99% of us are empaths and narcissistic. We show both characteristics, and we have both acted on both impulses. We've both gone down that psychological road. So anyways, I beat this dead horse. We'll get rolling here. My God. I don't know what's going on today. Everybody's like just blasting up the road today. Like big ass dump trucks going like 70 miles an hour. I don't know what's going on with that. That's the third dump truck that's blasted past me here. Wow. These guys drive like maniacs out here. It's crazy. Anyways, mountain roads, steep roads, and dump trucks going 10 over the speed limit. It's probably not a good mix, but hey, whatever. So, anyways, guys, kind of back to the video, back to the theory of human origins. We've been setting a lot of groundwork so far. If you haven't watched any of them, this is your first one, you need to go back and watch the other ones, or you're going to miss a lot of parts, because what we've been doing, folks, we're building a piece of the puzzle at a time, and then towards the end of this, and this could take many more videos, we'll see, because it's a very complicated subject, and but eventually the puzzle is going to get all put together here, folks. So this isn't something that can be done in a quick 1 or 2 videos, okay? But the last video, we were delving a lot into the spiritual side of it, the conscious energy, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, right? So we kind of needed to wrap this one up in this video because we didn't get to everything I wanted to touch upon. This is such an interesting thing because nobody can prove this. You can only go based off of other people's, off of their experiences, right? And what they're claiming they've experienced. Because let's be honest, most of us have not had an out-of-body, and most of us have not had a near-death experience. Though some people would argue that lucid dreaming in the sleep state is a form of astral projection, and that when you are in a sleep mode and your body's asleep, that your spirit is creating thought forms and experiences from the astral plane. And that's what you're really experiencing when you dream. So I guess in a way you could say then we all do leave our bodies. That's a way that we are doing it when we're sleeping. And maybe because it's when you're sleeping, you're not as aware except for when you're in the dream. And I don't know, now that we're talking about dreams, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. But I have noticed, a difference between lucid dreaming and just regular dreaming. And it seems to be that in lucid dreaming, you actually are in the realization that you're in a dream. And if you ever notice that when you're in a dream and you come to the realization that it is a dream, that it becomes more real. I mean, it really does. It's almost like all of your senses and everything in the dream become like solid. A lot of times with dreams, it's kind of weird. You're kind of floating around. You try to run. It feels like you're running through like quicksand. Your body doesn't seem all fully incorporated. It's like everything's kind of just drifting around, like almost like foggy. It's like there's not a lot of definition to it. And some dreams are just, or you'll just get those kind of rerun dreams, where it's just like a really long, boring dream that just goes on and on like the whole night, and it just, even if you wake up, you fall asleep and you go back into the same, it's like almost like just a pre-recorded dream, right? That just keeps playing out. However, there's those times when you have lucid dreams where you realize that you're in the dream, and once you realize you're in the dream, and everything becomes more real, like all of a sudden it feels like your body's real, your touch is real, your sound, you have all of your senses honed in a lucid dream. And all of a sudden, it's like you're literally in real life, or what we would consider real life, but which is still an illusion, right? The Earth Matrix, 3D Matrix, right? But it feels like that, All of a sudden now you can think in it, you can reason in it. You're walking around, you can feel, you can touch, everything. But yet the landscapes and everything can still be really otherworldly, right? But now you have a little bit of control over your dream, and you can kind of do what you want, right? It's like you can, like just from your thoughts, you can change the dream structure, the characters in the dream. And I've noticed this, folks. I don't know if you have. We don't always have like lucid dreams. I think that it's, at least I don't always have lucid dreams. I do notice, like if I take melatonin, it must put my body into a deeper sleep, because it does seem like I lucid dream more on melatonin. And I know some people say they can't take melatonin because it'll cause them to have nightmares and stuff, right? Which I've never really worried. I mean, whenever I've had like nightmare dreams, it's like I always fight back, It's like I never just give in to the evil or the darkness in the dream, But I don't know. One thing I like to do when I do lucid dream is fly. I think that's the most exhilarating experience ever. And it's something that we can't physically do here on Earth. However, in the lucid dream state, when you realize you're in a dream, you can manifest that ability in your dream. You can fly, and it literally feels like you're really flying. I mean, you can feel the wind blowing on your skin. You can feel that weightlessness, like almost like when you're in a pool swimming under the water, right? That where you're not touching the bottom of the pool or the sides, you're just fully immersed in the water, and you kind of get a somewhat similar feeling in water to flying, but just not with the dense like push and drag on your body that you get from the water. It's like that sensation, but without the pull on you from the water, right? So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure everybody's at least had one flying dream in their life. But anyways, guys, dreams are interesting, right? Are we astral projecting in dreams? I mean, is that, when everybody gets a chance to do an OBE and we just don't realize it? Because when you wake up, a lot of times you forget your travels and what you were doing in your dreams. It's almost like if you don't think about, you won't wake up from like a dream or a lucid dream right away. And you still have that memory really hard in your mind, and then you can kind of imprint it on your mind if you think about it, and keep thinking over it and remembering it. Then it'll kind of imprint it, and you can, we all have those dreams we remember for most of our lives, right? That were like so strong like that. But most dreams are just like they wisp away, and it's like sand through our fingers, right? If you don't think about the dream within a few minutes of waking up, all of a sudden you forget what your dreams were about. It's kind of an interesting phenomenon, dreaming in itself. And I don't know. I'm sure shamans and other people would say that there's a lot more to dreams, that we are astral projecting. And so it's interesting, right? And obviously it's a way that your body is recharging. Our bodies are batteries too, folks. We are electromagnetic energy producing beings. We are powerful energy beings, and sleeping allows the body to recharge like a battery, right? But sometimes when you don't get enough hours of sleep, it's like you only left your phone on the charger for like 45 minutes instead of an hour, right? Maybe an hour gives you a full charge, 45 minutes only gives you like 3/4 of a charge. And dreaming, sleeping's kind of similar to like that too. So, anyways, guys, so NDEs, OBEs, where do we really come from? So there's a lot of ancient texts, folks, that talk about these things. Of course, you have, the Nag Hammadi scriptures, the Gnostic scriptures are very interesting in how they break down this world as being a creation of the demiurge, right? Of a god of a lower dimension, the Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, who the Gnostics seen Yahweh in the Bible as being the demiurge, and his angels and demons as being the archons that rule this realm, that rule the spiritual aspect of this realm and the physical aspect of this realm. But of course, the Gnostic scriptures talk about higher dimensions and high. They talk about layers, right, of like heaven and stuff, where you have different principalities, different layers of higher spiritual beings that rule over those realms. And of course, the most famous being Sophia. That Sophia was like the divine feminine creator, consort to the masculine father creator. And that she was the one who went behind the back of the father creator and created the Yaldabaoth out of, without the masculine aspect, secretly behind the masculine back, behind the father's back. And because of that, there wasn't a balance of the divine masculine and feminine from the father creator and the mother creator. It caused this unhinged, unbalanced being, a tyrant that we call Yaldabaoth, or that would be Yahweh in the Bible. So it's very interesting. Then, of course, you have the Hindu Vedic texts. They talk about, obviously, like other worlds, other dimensions, and that this world is the Maya, the illusion, that this world's not the real world, that the world that conscious energy comes from is the real world. That's truly where we are. That's our home, which is very interesting, folks, because when people have near-death experiences, we talked about all the abilities, right? 360-degree view, telepathy, instant movement, instant manifestation, instant downloads from the universe. But what is very interesting too, that I didn't mention in the last video, is that many people talk about that they feel like they're going home. They feel like that they've been away in a foreign land for a long time, and they finally come home when they leave the body, when they go back to the higher dimensions. And something, folks, I kind of glossed over, I wanted just to add to that some of you might have caught, and then I'm sorry, folks, sometimes I will go down a tangent, I'll forget to backtrack and finish something off. That was when I was talking about the 3-day resurrection story with Yeshua, right, in the New Testament. Folks, that is not a story for resurrection into the physical realm. That is about a resurrection back into our true home, into the spiritual realm, into the higher dimension. This goes over well, not every, but this goes over almost every Christian's head. Because Christians are caught up in this belief system that earth is the true realm, that heaven is just like a special place you go to if you're a good kid, right? And then there's a hell where you go if you're a bad kid. They think that, like, everything is going to be brought here. The kingdom of heaven would be brought to earth. Earth will be our final home, and this is where we'll all live immortally, those that, get their light bodies, it talks about in Revelation, right? No, folks, that's all symbolic. The 3-day resurrection is what is talked about when people go through the process of going back, being allowed back into the higher dimensions, or going back into the higher dimensions. Look, you pick up a lot of negative energy and bad, things that trick your consciousness, that you incorporate, that you get programmed on when you're in this dimension. This dimension is like you're swimming through a muddy, a really dirty pond, a scummy, muddy pond. And when you get out of that pond, before you go into your house, you might want to rinse off outside, or just get right in the shower, right, to rinse off before you go walking around your house and sitting on your couch and eating dinner and stuff. You want to get cleansed up real good. So that's all that 3-day resurrection is, folks. Yeshua is trying to tell us, like, that's where you go home, back to the Father, the Creator, right? You go, you when the body dies here on earth, there's a 3-day process of the body going to the womb, back to the womb. You're reversing the process that you go through to come to earth, right? Through the female womb. Well, you're going back to the womb. However, this is the womb of the universe. This is the womb of Gaia, whatever you want to call it, the womb that encapsulates the earth. And you go to that darkness first, and it comforts you. You wait there for a little while. You're in a waiting process, but people don't realize, I think, that even go through that experience, that they're going through a cleansing process. And then, of course, part of the cleansing process is you go through the life review and such, and then the meeting of family and maybe spirit guide or your higher self or Yeshua. There's always people that meet you. It depends on what is most comforting to you, and that's part of the cleansing process, folks. You're having to be reprogrammed back into the reality that you're not a human being, that you're a conscious being, a conscious entity, okay? And you're being reprogrammed, or not, maybe not reprogrammed, maybe that's a bad, maybe deprogrammed. You're being cleansed, deprogrammed, all of your negative energy is being shed. You're also doing a review of your experiences on Earth, which also makes you realize that Earth was just a temporary experience, and then you're seeing what you learned, good and bad, right? And then this is that final process where people are like, okay, that have the chance to come back to Earth. Like, okay, maybe you should go back, your child's going to need you, or you didn't accomplish this or that. Because we all sign a soul contract, folks, before we come to Earth. It's like your own personal movie script, right? That you're writing, that you want to experience before you come here. The problem is, once you get on Earth, it's an Earth ruled by duality, and so there's darker forces that are trying to pull you in different directions. So a lot of people get off track with their life with their soul contract. But anyways, you go through that process, the life review, all those things, and then you're given that choice to come back sometimes. Now, however, if it's done, you've completed your contract, you're ready to head home, then that's when you make the final process back into the realm we come from. And that's the 3-day resurrection. You're back into your full-on light body. And no, folks, it's not like what you hear a lot of times where it's like, oh, you're like a ball of energy then, or like a spirit, right? It's like, no. Now you can manifest being just a ball of consciousness. However, most people, from what at least people that have OBEs and NDEs say, most people take on a humanoid avatar, and a lot of times they'll, at first at least, they'll take on the human form that they had when they were here. But it's maybe a better version of it. It's a perfect version of it, like a younger version of it. But however, you have super senses. You feel, you touch, you hear, you can see, but everything's magnified. It's not limited by the human body anymore, the human avatar. And so you're in this higher realm, you realize you're home, right? A lot of people that have NDEs and they do come back, or they're sent back because they didn't fulfill their soul contract, or they chose to come back, they begged to come back to finish some things. They do have that longing to go back, and they realize that was home, and that this is not home, and that this. But at the same time, they come back without the fear of death anymore, because they realize we are immortal spirits, right? We are. There is no death. Death is a human construct. It's a fear-based matrix that was created for Earth, because it was to build the illusion while you're here on Earth too. I mean, look, folks, fear is a tool too, and I'm not saying fear is a good thing. However, you wouldn't get the full experience on Earth if you came here without the fear matrix, right? If you came here knowing right off the bat that what this realm is, and that you know what you truly are, then it kind of ruined the game, right? It kind of ruined the experience. You wouldn't get to experience duality and polarity then if you knew all of it was an illusion. But maybe part of the game is coming to Earth and learning through a process of I know Christians will think I'm being a Luciferian here, but saying maybe getting gnosis, which just means knowledge, right? That what this realm truly is. Maybe this isn't. Maybe for some of us, our life path was to try to break the code of the game, right? To try to figure out what this is, or at least attempt it. And maybe once you've reached gnosis here, you've kind of completed that aspect of your soul contract. I don't know. It's all things to think about, folks. It's all interesting stuff. So, I guess we got a couple minutes here. I was really trying to get a jump on work today, folks. I have tomorrow off, and I have a lot of stuff I got to get done. I was hoping to have a quick day, and, well, there's a truck here trying to back in the wrong way into my work, and, it's going to take, he's doing the Austin Powers here. It's going to take like 1,000 tries. Instead of just pulling out, going around the building and backing in the right way, this guy's trying to do it the wrong way. Oh well. I guess we all have our shortcomings, right? We're not all meant to be, truck drivers, I guess. Well, I'm just going to give this guy room so he doesn't back into my car or hit my car here while he's doing his Austin Powers maneuvers. We've actually had some trucks back into our building at work. One actually put a hole through the wall into the women's restroom. That was pretty funny. We still all talk about that to this day. Yeah, remember the driver that, opened up a window in the women's restroom? Imagine if you were sitting there on the pot when that happened. All of a sudden the freaking bricks come busting into there's a freaking corner of a truck in the wall, or at least the bumper from the truck coming through the wall. That'd be something to see, huh? Something to experience. Oh man, look at this guy. He's already gone backwards and forwards about 30 times. I kid you not. He's just like, oh, do. Remember in Austin Powers when he gets stuck in that little hallway in that little cart? Instead of just getting out and running, he's just sitting there for an hour, like trying to turn that thing around, and he's like can only go like forward an inch, backwards an inch every time. Well, this truck's pretty much doing this on a little bigger scale, except he's hitting trees and almost hitting the building, and just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Jeez, I tell you, man, wow. These are those few times when you think maybe driverless trucks are a good thing, huh? My gosh. Wow. And he's probably irritated because I'm sitting here watching him. Well, jeez. Come on, buddy. We've been sitting here 3 minutes already. You can do it, buddy. Back it in right there. Turn your wheel the right way. There you go. There you go. So anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. I know we kind of jumped around a little bit. We did, we talked about a few things, a few other things that kind of got me off track, but I think they were interesting talks still. We kind of jumped around. Look, folks, if you were here with me right now, these would be the type of things we would talk about, and we would probably jump around on subjects like that. And I enjoy debating with people and talking and about different subjects like this, and a lot nowadays people don't stop and do that. It's very it happens very or it doesn't happen often that you can meet somebody, like say at a brewery or at the dog park or wherever, that you can actually sit and talk to somebody about deep subjects. When I run into those kind of people, I very much value their time and energy, because there's not very many people like that, folks. Not very many open-minded people that like to think deeply on things. Most of our society has been trained to just be kind of shallow, right? Like I said about the reels, right? The short videos, the TikTok videos, they just want you with a short attention span. They don't want you like actually thinking deeply, questioning things, questioning reality. They just want you to be a programmed worker bee. Just do what you're told. Shut up, slave. You're a human resource. Go work. Put in your time and just barely scrape by, right? As they're just killing us with inflation. I mean, gas, food, energy. Your home, your insurance keeps going up. Your property taxes keep going up, which is unconstitutional, I might add. Just like income tax, property tax is unconstitutional. But you know what? That's this realm, right? We have a lot of sociopaths that rule us, unfortunately, and most of them happen to be lawyers, in fact, and most of our politicians happen to be lawyers. Hey, who would guess, right? It's kind of interesting, right? So, anyways, guys, went over a lot of subjects. The next video I do, we'll delve into something new, but I don't know. I would just tell you guys, go research NDEs and OBEs. Go learn yourself about it. Go read some of the ancient texts and what they teach about the spiritual realm. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth are very interesting, regardless what people think of the Emerald Tablets. It's ancient Hermetic teachings that have been woven in there, whether it was Dorian that wrote it or if it was more ancient sources that wrote it. I've seen different, everything from Dorian to it being like a medieval, like Sufi Islamic writing, like mystic Islamic writing, to it being actually, like Billy Carson claims, 36,000 years old the Emerald Tablets are. I don't know about all that it was actually Thoth that read them or wrote them originally, right? And you guys know, right? Hermes is just the Greek version of Thoth. But anyways, interesting stuff. But there is a lot of deep teachings in the Emerald Tablets about what we really are. It talks about that we are spirit beings, that we are not truly humans, and it even talks about the realms of control, like the mechanisms of the matrix that were built around us, similar to like the Gnostic teachings and the Maya that the Hindu Vedic texts talk about. So pretty interesting stuff. But anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.